Good morning, everybody. Okay, let's see here. Let's do audio. Can you guys hear me okay? Outstanding. How's everybody doing this morning? I haven't hit record yet, so you can actually not worry about being public, although we are streaming to Facebook. Eric, how are you doing? I won't ask you about what in specific, but you know what I'm talking about. How's Eric doing this morning? I got you off mute, Eric.
Just coming back from a project I got going and trying to do this on while I'm driving.
Oh boy.
But I can hear you now, so I'm all good.
Okay, good. All right. Well, do me a favor. Focus on your driving. We need to keep you alive.
I'm just listening.
Someday I'm actually going to go out on that boat.
Hey, I'm looking to do it this weekend. I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow or Sunday. So what day is better for you?
That I don't know. I have to check with my lovely wife, see what she's got planned for the weekend. But I don't think we have anything planned this weekend. But then again, I could be wrong.
Well, that happens. But you
Yep.
guys are always welcome anytime. Anytime that boat goes out.
Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Appreciate it. I'm heading to Dallas on Tuesday.
Nice.
Be gone for a week, and then I'll be back again. So, all right. Let me go ahead and get this kicked off. I'm going to go ahead and mute you real quick.
Okay.
Oh, Amanda wants to go too.
Hey, it's called Mini Mastermind Island.
There you go. All right, here we go.
Combination of pleasure and brainstorming.
Exactly. The best kind. All right, guys. Give me 1 second. I'm going to mute everybody here. And let's see. And we are recording. Well, good morning, everybody. It is Friday, October 20th. I can't believe it's October 20th already. My birthday is 8 days away. I'm going to be 47. I don't know how I feel about that. Actually, I feel pretty good today, so I'm okay with 47. But, man, that flew by. It seemed like yesterday I was in the middle of the South Pacific turning 40. I remember my wife was going crazy because we were crossing the international date line in the ship. We were a buoy tender. And we kept crossing the international date line, so she couldn't. Spouses and family have access to the location of the ship. The rest of the time, it's somewhat protected information, classified, because it's a government ship. But Jill had access to this tracking system for the ship, and she kept watching me, and I kept crossing over the international date line. And there's a time lag of like 6 hours, so she couldn't quite tell what day to say happy birthday, because I kept going like this. So finally, she just gave up and said, "Oh, the hell with it, happy birthday." So let's see here. All right, let's see here. So this morning, guys, I was on an earlier call at 9 o'clock. In the middle, and that call ended at 10, but between the two calls, I was looking at some stuff that I found interesting on the MLS. I was playing around there. I was on the MLS because there's a property that I really want to get that recently came on the market, but I'm playing the game of having to chase down the realtor. It amazes me that people will commit to serve another with a contract for, in this case, the equivalent of a $30,000 payday. That would be the commission to the listing agent. And I cannot get this agent to call me back. I have texted, I have emailed, I have called. I think today I'm actually going to write a letter, on a sheet of paper and put a stamp on it and mail it to them saying, please, will you call me? Please. It's unbelievable. So, but I'm sure they'll have some ridiculous excuse like, oh, I left my phone somewhere for 3 days. If I was the seller, I'd be freaking out. If, buyers, I've got buyers and me, because I want to buy it too, that are ready, willing, and able to pull the trigger on this. We've got the money sitting there. We're ready to go. We want it. So TikTok. But frankly, by the time they get around to getting back to us, we'll probably have put our funds elsewhere, which would be unfortunate. Lance says, I just did that recently. I still haven't heard from me. It doesn't surprise me. All right, guys, I'm going to screen share with you because I want to show you my little finding. This started with, let's see here. This was a slide that I did in my cash flow events. Now, you guys that are in the Tampa Bay area know that I do the Cash Flow 101 events in the Tampa Bay area. Although, admittedly, I have not done one recently. I do plan on doing one. I'm going to try for November. We'll see. But anyway, I do a Cash Flow 101 event, and we basically get a group of people together. I teach you financial independence, how to get financially free, financial intelligence, rather, how to get financially free. I use a board game called the Cash Flow 101 game to help teach you that. But I throw a flair in it. I throw a lot of content like what I teach here on Friday mornings in Cash Flow Guys TV. I throw that out there as well to give more emphasis on the education piece. Learn to earn. That's why we have hashtag Learn to Earn. Speaking of which, before I get started on this, Larry Harbold has joined our team full time. He is my go-to guy. He is a great guy, and he has joined forces with us officially. So he is now part of Cash Flow Guys, which I am tickled pink about, because now I get to leverage his experience. He gets to leverage our technology, but who cares about that? That's not impressive. What's impressive is his experience and the experience of his sphere of influence. So that's huge. That's absolutely huge. Let's see here. So what you see here is a slide. Can you guys all see the slide? Okay, this is a slide I put up last year. Let's do a present. Oops. See, I went and got... There we go. Anyway, this slide I put up last year to basically show a property that listed for $24,900. People started fighting over it. It got into a bidding war, and it eventually sold for $47,500. That was a year ago, well, a little over a year ago. So you see it sold March 30th of 2016. So people bid it up to more than double what the asking price was. Interesting. So then I was looking at that slide, and I thought, well, I wonder what's happened with that house since then. So I decided to look and see what's gone on recently. And I looked here back to 2007. I just thought, wow, what an interesting history lesson. Here's what it looked like in 2007. I don't know if you guys can see that photograph. Didn't look too bad. And it looks like an older person lived there, got your goldenrod stove and whatnot, but probably an older person that's lived there for a long, long time. Maybe it was a probate situation, something like that. But all the way back in 2007, in that condition that you just saw, it sold for $89,900. So at the top of the market, this little tiny house in 19 days sold for $89,900 full price. It sold for full asking price. This is over in St. Petersburg. You guys want to research this independently. The address is 4744 10th Avenue North in St. Petersburg. 4744 10th Avenue North in St. Petersburg. I wish the pictures were bigger, but this is a cell phone photo apparently in the MLS because God forbid an agent would actually spend $100 to have professional photos taken. God, jeez. Oh, it's funny. So anyway, that was back in 2007. Fast forward to 2016. The property sold again. It was listed at $24,900. So let's look inside now. Let's fast forward to today. So they painted the door. Remember, sold for $89,900 about 9 years before. And in 9 years, apparently somebody left. So all the furniture's gone. No work's been done to it. The vanity's missing. Wow, let's go back and look at that. Now that is sexy. Look at that. Could you imagine showering there? Oh, I could just see it like one of those rain showers coming down on you with the nice blue and white checkers. Looks like, Daytona 500 in the tub. It's awesome. So, not a bad little house, right? Concrete block, got a fireplace. Not too shabby. So, it was listed in 2016 in March for $24,900, sold for $47,500 over list. Crazy. Now, the next screen I'm showing you is the public records that shows you what actually is going on with this thing. Here's the public records section right here. If you look at it, let me think here. Give me 1 second. I want to make sure that there we go. Those of you watching on Facebook, sorry, I didn't realize you weren't able to see that. So here's the property now. Looks like it's a 1-1. Here's the most recent track record. 24,900 list price, sold for 47,500. But let's look back in the history here a little bit. And I know this is going to be difficult for you guys to see this on the screen share, but I'm going to try showing it to you anyway. Back in 2007, this thing had a mortgage. Now, you saw pictures in 2007. In 2007, it sold for, they had a mortgage for $89,900, right? That was the mortgage amount, which in this case was 100% financing in 1987. That's in March of 2007. So at the height of the market, they bought the house for $89,900 in March, took out a mortgage for full price, $89,900. Going over here in August, 5 months later, folks, 5 months later, they took another mortgage. And now this time they refinanced the first mortgage and got $103,000. So they paid off the first, took more equity out of the house, and raised the mortgage to $100,000 or $103,000. So essentially, let's do that math. They pulled $13,000 out of the house additional. I assure you that probably half of that was closing costs. So realistically, they probably pulled maybe $4,000 or $5,000 out, but they spent $13,000 to get $4,000 or $5,000. Whoa. Here's the best part. It was an adjustable rate loan that started at 8.3% interest. Started at 8.3% interest. That's the floor, guys. That's as low as it's ever going to go, is 8.375 until you pay it off, which means that when it adjusted, moving forward a couple of years, the interest rate on the mortgage was probably, depending on what the money factor was used in the mortgage, it could have been 10, 11, 12, 13, 15%. Who knows? But an adjustable rate mortgage starting at 8.375 for more than what the house sold for a couple months before. This is a classic housing bubble finance debacle. This is not what you want to do. Now, if you look here, in 1990, this house sold for $17,000. In 2007, it sold once for $89,900. Remember, they refinanced it shortly thereafter for $103,000. And then in 9 years later, it foreclosed, and the foreclosure amount was $39,000. That means essentially $60,000 was written off. $50,000 to $60,000. Poof, disappears. Wow. And then it sold for $47,500 on the 31st of March in 2016. So what's interesting, guys, is it sold in February for $39,900, and it sold in March, 1 month later, for $47,500. Very interesting. This is a classic case, guys, and the agent that sold it happens to be the same agent that listed it, so he sold it himself and made a killing. So, guys, you can see this is part of the problem here. This whole thing started with greed. And I bring this up because some people were like, in the last week I was telling you guys the story of the whole refinance on my place. And a lot of you were like, whoa, how come you haven't run off, just gone ahead and bought your jet ski right now? Why wait? Let me see here. Just go ahead and get it now. Well, the answer to that question, guys, is because the only way that jet ski is going to get bought is if I first find a cash flowing asset to pay for it. Now, here's a case of where these folks went out and they just bought the house and they went ahead and pulled equity back out of it. We can blame the lenders all we want, but realistically, you got to put some blame on the homeowner. They're just tapping every ounce of the equity, and then they suddenly become a victim when they can't pay their bill and leave the banks high and dry. Rest assured, the banks still made money. That I promise you, the banks still made money. So keep this in mind. I've heard some of you have come to me and said, I'm going to take a home equity line on my house, or I'm going to refinance my house to go flip houses or do something like that, or get money for marketing, for wholesaling. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Because when you leverage, you have a property that has equity, and you pull that equity out, you've got to get yourself trained. You got to resist the urge to do anything else with that money except for buy cash flowing assets. Because the property you live in, first of all, should be able to cover the debt service. And if you live in it, then that's not going to work. Okay, keep that in mind. It's not going to work. You need to be able to make sure that, so in other words, if you're going to borrow equity from something, make sure it's a rental property. If you don't have a rental property, then go get a primary mortgage on the first property, and maybe get some private capital or something like that to fund it. But don't take the equity out of the home that you live in unless you're going to roll it, unless it produces income. Now, in my case, I live in a 4-unit apartment building. The other 3 units pay all the bills. I don't pay anything. Actually, I get paid to live here. And we did successfully close this week on the refi, finally. I mean, oh my God. Wow, it was a battle to the end, but we finally got it closed, and it funds on Monday. So that worked out quite well. So a lot of people are saying, great, you're going to run out and get your jet ski. No, I'm not going to go out and get my jet ski. Not until I find a cash flowing asset to pay for it. What does that look like? That means I need to find something. If I go finance the jet ski, see, there's no advantage for me to pay cash for a depreciating asset. Interesting how you say that. Depreciating asset. That's kind of like, fighting each other. It's not something that's, the minute I buy it and roll it off the dealership floor, it's going to be worth less money on the next day. So why would I invest cash into that, my cash, my reserves? Why would I spend money on that? That doesn't even make sense. That's just throwing money away. Instead, if I've got a cash flowing asset that just is paying off cash, it spills off cash, I use that money, a portion of that money, to pay for the jet ski payments. So I will borrow money, okay, to buy the jet ski. I'll get a bank loan for the jet ski. I'm not going to ever make a payment on that jet ski, ever. I'm going to have a tenant make that payment. I'm going to find a property or two, or it's probably going to be one because the payment's only $200. But I'm not going to put any money in the deal because they'll 100% finance the ski. They'll give, I think it's 6% interest, is what they said. They haven't pulled our credit yet or anything, but they said between 5 and 7%. Or no, they said between 6 and 8, and I've got great credit, so I'm assuming I'll get 6. But I will use the bank's money to get that, and then I will have a tenant pay the bank. I just get to enjoy the jet ski. That's how you build wealth, folks. That's truly how you build wealth. If I was trying to just get piles of cash and sit on piles of cash, you have to understand that inflation is going to eat that up. That's what we teach at my cash flow events. Inflation will eat up your piles of cash. So if you are saving money to buy a piece of property, in my opinion, I feel that's foolish. I feel that you're throwing money away by doing so. Instead, use as little of your own cash as possible to get more cash flowing assets. Your cash is to pay your living expenses and enjoy life, because we're not here forever, guys. Remember that. We're not here forever. So think about that before you make a cash purchase for a piece of investment property. I know some of you are like, well, I'm going to pay cash for it, and then I'm going to refinance out of it later. Well, that may be the case. But are you 100% sure you can do that? And you have to ask yourself this question: what if you can't? What if, I don't know, Trump gets a wild hair and changes something in D.C.? What if Congress shows up to work and decides they want to do something different that changes the financial markets? And then the banks decide that they're going to be a little more proactive on protecting themselves, and they pull the plug and won't let you refinance. Then what do? This is why I'm not a fan of balloon payments, guys. Balloon payments are dangerous because you're basically you're signing on the line for a crystal ball. Okay? You're hedging your bets that you will be able to either come into a pile of money at some point down the road, or you'll be able to refinance the property at some point down the road. If you are unable to do so, well, we have a problem, a big problem. And a lot of people say, well, I'll worry about that later. Well, here's what happens more often than not. You are going to invest a lot of your time, which is worth, in my opinion, millions of dollars, or because you can't ever get time back, so it's priceless. You're going to invest time, and you're going to invest money into whatever you bought, the asset. If you can't leverage that money back out 5 years down the road, let's say, for example, your identity got stolen. Don't think it'll happen to you. Happened to me. Happened to Jill. I could probably think of four other people on this call it's probably happened to. If you think it won't happen to you, I almost guarantee you it will. Somebody will probably steal your identity and destroy your credit. I'm not trying to ruin your day here, but I'm just trying to keep you conservative and keep you safe as far as, they say writing checks with your mouth that your ass can't cash. Similar thing. The banks right now are big on, especially in commercial lending, the banks are big on balloon payments. A lot of my clients lately that have been looking at multifamily, the banks are coming back saying, sure, we'll loan money on it, but they want a short term. They're only amortizing it over 20 or 25 years. And they want a balloon payment 5 years or 10 years down the road. Well, what if we're in the middle of a housing crash and you're out buying single family houses and there's no equity? Are you going to be able to refinance out of that balloon? Probably not. And to further that, if you're not able to refinance out, what happens next? What are the next steps? Can it be that they'll foreclose and that there's no remedy for that situation short of foreclosure? Maybe. I have personally seen mortgage documents from people that have reached out from my podcast and sent me their loan docs to look at, where it specifically says the only alternative, when you can't refinance within 90 days of the balloon date, that it immediately extends to foreclosure. It's like, well, that's so much for let's work this out, buddy. I would assume, I hate to think this way, but it's reality. There are people out there that will loan you money on real estate with terms that are designed for you to fail. There are banks, financial institutions, that will loan you money based on loans that are designed to fail. You just saw an example of that very case. That loan was designed to fail. Bank gets the property back. They could get all kinds of write-offs and advantages, and they're a victim in the whole 9 yards. They get federal bailouts. They get all these different things. So don't think that the bank is your friend. They are not your friend. And I got a reminder of that with this whole refinance recently. It was a challenge, let me tell you. I've talked about it on previous episodes of Cashflow Guys TV, but it was a challenge. And my primary lender, God love him, told me I couldn't refinance, which I thought was ridiculous. I can't be sitting on over $200,000 in equity that I can't capture. That doesn't make sense, especially with the income I have. I've got a great income. There's no reason why I can't. but they weren't willing to do the extra work to look through the process to see that, in fact, my debt to income ratio is very low. I don't have any debt. The only debt I have is mortgage debt. So it became real easy. Questions, guys, at this point? Things that making you go, Hey, Irene, how you doing? When did you get here? Irene snuck in, guys. Haven't seen her in a long time. Her smiling face. Her husband's got the coolest business in the world. He manufactures precision firearms. I just think that's awesome. I want to be able to do that. What's holding you back? She's like, oh, geez, don't single me out. Come on, man. I'm going to unmute you.
What's holding me back? Trying to understand how I can get into buy and hold without using my own money.
Okay.
Because I have none to invest at this point.
Okay. That's not uncommon. That's actually very, very common. Let me ask you this: how many people, if you had a message to deliver and you could only deliver it to people that know you, how many people could you deliver that message to in the next 15 minutes?
10? I don't know.
That's the problem. 100% of the answer to everything that holds everybody back in this thing we call real estate investing comes down to you don't have enough people to talk to. If you don't have enough deals in front of you, or opportunities rather, is what I prefer to call them, it's because you don't have enough people to talk to. If you don't have enough private capital, it's because you don't have enough people to talk to. One of the reasons I started my podcast was so that I could attract a large audience of people that I could eventually talk to if I needed to get capital, deals, expertise, training, coaching, you name it. I have met all of you in some shape, way, or form based on what I have put out into the marketplace by either educating you, offering you something, emailing you, you finding me on Facebook, finding me on Twitter. If you guys think about how you originally ran across me or somebody referred you or whatever, everybody came to me. So I now have, like on this call, I've got a group of people and all the people that are watching on Facebook. I've got all these people that I can reach if I need something. So let's use that as an example. I have a property coming up that is a ridiculous deal down in St. Pete. My buyer bought it. I worked her an amazing deal, and she's decided that she doesn't want to flip it. She's got too much inventory to flip right now. We've sold her a lot of property, and she wants to just sell it as it sits. It's still a great deal for somebody else. Somebody that wants a small project. It's not massive. It's just it's a little house, 1,000 square foot, something like that. It's in a great neighborhood in St. Pete. She's going to let it go for like 130, 140 grand. The upside on it's like well over 200,000. And it needs, I don't know, 50, 60,000. So there's a lot, well, probably 40,000, but there's a lot of profit there. I can sell that property in a heartbeat because I have a lot of people to talk to. I can put one email out to my database of people that I know from talking to them are looking for flips. Even though I counsel them otherwise, they're too stubborn and they insist on flipping. I can guarantee you that one of them will wind up buying that property. Almost guarantee you. That comes from the fact that I have a lot of people to talk to. Raising money, and you guys have heard me talk about raising money in the past. Raising money is no different. There is more money out there right now, and all the time, even in an up market, down market, doesn't matter. There is more money out there than there are deals to place it in. It's a fact. There's just not enough opportunity out there for things to invest in. So if you don't have money, you got to have something else. Now think about it. I believe, this is what I was taught, that there are 4 elements for a deal to get put together that you've got to have. Somebody has to have the knowledge. Somebody has to have the time. Somebody has to have the money. So knowledge, money, time, and somebody has to have the deal, right? In any deal, there could be 4 people or 4 entities, whichever way you want to look at it, that comprise those 4 things. It could all be one person. If Eric's got his own money, his own experience, he found the deal, and he's got the time to do it, great, then he didn't have to share with anybody. But if Eric finds the deal, has the money, and has the experience, but doesn't have any time because he's busy doing something else, then he's got to find somebody that has the time, so maybe he would hire Lance to be his contractor. And then Lance would be doing the work. If he doesn't have the deal, but he's got the other 3 elements, maybe he comes to and say, you have something that might interest me? Oh, great. So then Eric brings his knowledge and his time, but he doesn't have any money, let's say. But let's say Robert has the money and has the deal. This is what I teach at my local events. Next time I have one, I want you to make sure you come, that you join us if you're able, because we cover this in great detail in many different ways that you can do this. You could structure these opportunities any way that everybody sees fit. Let's say Eric just has the money, and let's say Robert is a contractor, and he has a lot of experience, and you've got experience also, and then you have the deal. Maybe you guys do the deal together, and instead of hiring Robert to do the rehab work, you bring Robert in as a partner in the deal and split the profit with him, a third, or any variation thereof. What's fair is what everybody agrees to that they feel is fair. Fair isn't always 50-50. Does that make sense? And I know that this may seem foreign to some of you, but you're never going to know. Sorry, I got to move the desk up. I got bad knees, so I can't sit still for too long. But you're never going to know if somebody's going to say no unless you ask. And if you have all your eggs in one basket, and here's a good example of having all your eggs in one basket. You've got great credit. You've got money in the bank, but not enough to do a deal. You've got money in the bank, a great job, great credit, and you have experience. And the bank says no. Now what? Because nobody really knows what the bank's thinking. They'll never tell you, in most cases, the real reason why they shot you down. They plug it into some magical computer, and that magical computer comes up and says, oh, geez, your score is only a 723, and in 1972, somebody with your name did something, and sorry, but we can't give you, we can't help you. Or, you've got too many properties. Or, we don't like the fact that your husband makes too much money and he's got a tax liability, or you make too much money, or whatever. You've traveled out of the, who knows? They'll come up with a reason to say no sometimes, and we don't even know why. So this is why taking the time to build our network, to build the amount of people that we have to talk to, is so critical. For example, my audience, I believe in this credit repair. National Credit Federation is something that I partnered up with about 6-8 months ago, because I've realized that a lot of investors, the reason why they can't get going is they've got terrible credit. And although I don't believe that you need your credit to do deals, it's very beneficial if you have good credit. It makes it a lot easier. Okay, you can do it without, but it's a lot harder, and it's going to take more effort, more time, and whatnot. So I partner with a credit repair company because I know that's a problem that people have in the marketplace. And we can do very well helping a lot of people with that because I have a very large database of people. Now, yes, some of you that have great credit still get those emails. And as of recent, I found out some of you got them like 8 times. Sorry about that. That's what happens when they let Tyler play with the toys. Beth's been out because her grandma's dying, so I took over the email for a couple days, and you could see how that worked out. But anyway, because I have a lot of people to talk to, I have a big database of people, I can accomplish a lot in a very short amount of time with very little effort. So, with you, what city do you live in again? I forgot.
Tarpon Springs.
Oh, that's right. You're in Tarpon. You're in Tarpon. Jeez, why haven't we had coffee? You being in Tarpon, you should get down to Advanta IRA. Go to their lunch and learns. Go to their webinars, because you're going to meet those people that are going to help you supplement with the additional cash that you need. All of us need more money to invest. Every one of us. I don't care if you're, was it Elon Musk or wherever you are? Everybody needs more money. You got to always be raising capital. And with that, I mean building those relationships and cataloging them. Do any of you have a stack somewhere in your home or your car or maybe in your back pocket right now of business cards? Big stack of business cards that you've done nothing with? That's why I laugh about it. I have one. I think it's right here. Yep, it is. See? This is as big as I will allow my stack to get. Everybody I meet that has a card, I get it. And these people get put into my database. Because I know at some point in the future, I may need to talk to them about something. I may need to hire them to do a job. They may need to hire me to do a job. They may need a deal, or maybe they need capital from us. They may need something. So I have this. This is my most recent stack. So every couple of weeks, I'll go through this stack and I'll enter these into a database. Okay. If you've ever met me in person and had a card, especially recently, you're probably in this stack. I scan this with my cell phone into an app called Full Contact. And what it does is it takes all the information off the card. Oh, here's an IRA. Takes all the information off the card and puts it into a database. Okay. Lance says right now, short notice, there's an IRA lunch and learn focusing on private money in Largo from 12 to 1:30 today. Well, see, there you go. Guess you have to get up the call now if you're going to make it. But go to Advanta IRA, and you can see their training schedule if you're in the Tampa Bay market. If in whatever market you're in, if you type in IRA administrator, self-directed IRA administrator, you will find some of these self-directed IRA companies. There's where your money's hiding, right there in plain sight. I don't expect you to walk in and raise capital on the first conversation, but if you know they're there, like in this case, you know Austin Holloway is at Newview IRA, which is in Orlando. So maybe you call Austin and say, Austin, when's your next training? And then you attend that training. Well, while you're there, you meet Joyce Cooper from Keller Williams. Oop, I got a lot of noise here. You meet Joyce Cooper. And Joyce Cooper is a realtor with Keller Williams Gulfside Realty. She's a commercial real estate broker. Oh, interesting. She just happened to sell a huge deal and made a big chunk of change. And guess what? Since you know her and she knows that you sometimes buy cash flowing assets, she has this pile of cash she just got from her real estate commission and needs a place to put it. It's in her IRA, but it's not doing any good if it's in her IRA because she's got a SEP IRA, let's say, and she dumped a lot of that money into her retirement plan. But now she's got another problem. I got money in my account. That's great. But it's not doing anything, just sitting there. But wait a minute. I talked to over at that Lunch and Learn, and she buys small multifamily properties in Tarpon Springs. I'm going to call her. And next thing you know, your phone rings. Do you have anything you're looking at right now? Because I need to get my money moved in my IRA. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how I raise a lot of my capital, is just that very way. Because people know what I buy. People know what I do. It's no secret. And then the phone rings, and there you have it. Let's see here. The name of that app is called Full Contact. I will type that in the chat. Full Contact. There we go. Yes, Austin is. He's a good guy. These resources are out here in every community, folks. You may have to drive a little bit to get them. Here's Tim Sigard. Tim is he's my bike guy. I have one of those recumbent trikes, for old people with bad legs. It's you sit back in it, ride it like a bike. Anyway, he's a bike guy. Will Tim ever probably invest in one of my deals? No. But I bet you the bike that I own is like a $5,000 bike. I have two of them. Tim hangs out with people that can afford $5,000 bikes because he sells $5,000 bikes. Is it good to know Tim? Is it good for Tim to be on my email list? My very targeted email list, to where I send things to him every once in a while that might be conversation starters and make it easier for him to relate with his customer base. Is that possible? Absolutely. Sometimes I'll sit down and write a email just to Tim, let's for example, and say, hey, what's going on, this, that, and the other, because I know that he attracts people that I want to attract. I want other people that can afford $5,000 bikes. Those are the people I want to work with. I mean, I want to work with a lot of people, but that's a good start. Questions on that, guys? Y'all think I'm crazy? Of course. Erica says, did you put money down or was it no money down with owner hold notes? Let's see. I think I missed part of that. Oh, Amanda said, I did 2 buy and holds at Creative Financing, sub 2, and owner holds the note. I was an unemployed single mom when I did it. Absolutely right. Here's the thing. Full disclosure. Amanda has never been to a guru boot camp. I may be incorrect in this, but I'm pretty sure that I'm not. Amanda has had no formal real estate education whatsoever at all, except for whatever she pulled off of Bigger Pockets and personal experience. Would that be accurate, Amanda? That is correct, yes. So I'm not getting down on real estate education. Heck, Larry and I provide it. We sell that. Nothing wrong with that, obviously. My point is, all the education in the world, if you're not going to take the appropriate action, is useless. It's wasted money. Amanda is a classic example of someone who just went out there and made enough mistakes until she started getting some wins. That's one of the reasons I love her so much. She's not afraid of making mistakes. Does she look dumb sometimes? Of course she does. Everybody does. But guys, even when you know what you're doing, you're still going to look stupid sometimes. You can't get around that. That's for sure. Let's see. Did you put money down or was it no money down with owner hold notes? Erica says, everyone we talk to gets spooked at sub 2, so we need to adjust how we present, discuss, explain it. Right. The reason why, Erica, people get spooked at sub 2 is because you don't even know why you're doing sub 2. Most people that are offering sub 2 right out of the gate, and for those of you who don't know what that means, subject to means you're taking a property subject to the existing mortgage. That is one shoe that does not fit every foot. Everybody throws that out as their initial strategy because for the buyer or for the wholesaler, it's usually a wholesaler gimmick, they perceive it to be low-hanging fruit. They think it's easy. They're not stepping into the seller's shoes. They're not taking the time to truly discover the seller's pain. Let's say Lance is the seller. If I walk into Lance and say, Lance, I think we can work this out. I can give you $100,000. I'll take your property subject to. Where did subject to come from? Oh, I heard it on Bigger Pockets or some podcast and it sounded sexy, so I'm going to do it. It's like salsa. Ooh, it's a buzzword. Subject to. This week's episode of my podcast, I got John Rexford on. He's an expert in subject to. Listen to it. There's a lot of good information in there. And join his group if you want to learn about subject to do it the right way. It's not the easy way, guys, and it doesn't solve every problem. Like I said, in John's case, he uses it when it solves the seller's problem. If the seller doesn't need to go buy another property, they just need to not have to pay that mortgage anymore, then John will plug that in as a strategy. But if the seller, for whatever reason, needs rid of that mortgage obligation completely, then he will use a different structure that is not a one-size-fits-all. Or, it just doesn't fit everything. So please try not to get those. And the reason why the seller's spooked, Erica, is because you haven't truly identified what the seller's pain is yet. And if we were doctors and we gave a diagnosis or made a prescription without a diagnosis, you would go to jail for malpractice. See, a doctor has to examine you before they can prescribe something. They examine you, which would be you talking to the seller. And during that examination, they figure out what the problem is. And then once the examination is done, at that time, they make a diagnosis. And when the diagnosis is complete, they will issue a prescription, usually. If you are running in pitching them on subject 2, you have not made a diagnosis and you have not examined. So essentially, it's malpractice, which is why they get twitchy. Because they are obviously concerned that you're not going to follow through, which is why they got nervous. If they didn't have that concern, they wouldn't care less. If I have terrible credit and I'm going to lose this bad boy to foreclosure and ERM comes in and talks to me and finds out that I don't really give two hoots about this house or my credit, then subject 2 might make sense because I don't really care about my credit anyway. So if ERM says I'm going to take your property subject to the mortgage and I'm going to give you $5,000 or whatever my equity is, I'll be like, fine, where's my $5,000? Can I have that in 12 packs of light beer? I mean, that's what I hear up in Moon Lake a lot. That's the going thing. You can get a lot done with a 12-pack of light beer in Moon Lake. That's up in Pasco by us. Yeah, it works. Great negotiating thing. Boone's Farm, you can get Boone's Farm for like $3 a case. I bet you could probably buy an entire mobile home on its own land with Boone's Farm, especially the strawberry stuff. They like that extra. So, but using those strategies without understanding, first of all, what they do. It's not about what's easy for us to get the house. It's about what the seller's needs are. I'm not saying that because I want you to think I'm a good guy. That's not it. It's that diagnosis, that prescription needs to fit the illness. Okay? You wouldn't prescribe somebody, I don't know, aspirin to prevent cancer. They get chemotherapy for cancer, right? And aspirin's not going to help them. So if you walk in there with an aspirin, they're going to still stay sick. They need chemo or whatever. Sorry, I hate to use that reference, but that's all I can think about on short notice. Think about this when you guys are making your offers. They've got to solve that seller's pain. Let's see here. Erica, are you still on the call? Did that make sense? Or did we lose her earlier? Oh, there she is. Hey, Erica. Are you there? No. She's not. Anyway. So I hope that helps you guys understand the different scenarios there. Amanda, I think Pete's class for you, that'd be all. You get that, it'd be over with. Seriously. That class is so amazing for, I don't know, a couple $100. Totally worth it. Guys, I'm talking about Peter Fortunato's paper course. If you can make your way to Tampa next time he has that, which I'm not sure when he has it next, but look it up online. Peter Fortunato, his paper course. Lance probably knows when it is. I actually need to go again. That's for sure. But that's that. Guys, any questions on what we've talked about using the different strategies, building our database, having more people to talk to? Does that help get you a little farther down the road as far as the fact that everything we do, that from a success standpoint, it's going to take time?
Yeah, I get that. It just seems like a real uphill battle, but
it is. It is. But every day that we move, every time we get somebody in our database, and what I did, guys, I made myself a spreadsheet. And you ever see those things where, like, when you donate blood and the thermostat or the thermometer and you make a little line? It sounds corny, but that's kind of what I did starting out to build my database. My database started with 0. A couple of years ago, I came off the ship. I had no database except for friends and family. I'd been at sea for 5 years. Nobody knew who I was. I was a total stranger. And now my podcast is in the top 10 in the country in real estate. I didn't throw money in it to get there. I just did the work, and I made sure that I got to know a lot of people, and I built my database. But I started with 1. My database went to 1. As it sits, I'm about 12 or 13,000 right now, as we talk in my database. My goal is by PodFest, which is the next big event that I'm going to after FinCon next week, is to get my database to 20,000 people. Because if I figured out that if I can get my database to 20,000 people, I never have to worry about downgrading my way of living, so to speak. With a database that large, I will always have access to all the capital and all the opportunities that I could ever possibly take advantage of. And the same goes for everybody that I know. That's just my target number. Not that I'm going to stop there, and I don't necessarily think you guys would need to build to that size, but even having a couple hundred or a few thousand people in your database to talk to would be huge. You know, today I've got a little thing called Today Money. I've got probably 35 people in a little database of investors that are ready to put capital to work tomorrow. I could send them a text message and say, go. And they'll write me a check and fire it off. They'll fire off a wire transfer. They're ready to go. If I reach out to them that quick, they'll be able to deploy money. They're that hot to trot. It's not possible without having that database. Otherwise, I'd be thinking, now, who is it I talked to at that RIA meeting that did the thing with the you know what and the oh geez, and was it the Spring Hill meeting or was it Larry's meeting, and what day was that? And I can't remember their name. Maybe they were on Cashflow Guys TV But having the database, see, when I bring those little cards in, like let's say I've got, I don't know, God, not that one, Frontier. This dude from MC Homes Realty, when I import these, this is why I do them a little bit at a time, I make little notes. Those are keywords, how I met them, where we were. I was at the Tampa RIA meeting with Dustin Griffin, and I met Don Bogue, and I was also there with Larry Harbolt and Robin Thompson having dinner. So I have a little story of what went on that night. Now, if I need to talk to them at some point down the road, you can call them and say, hey, this is Don. We were at the Tampa RIA meeting about 6 months ago, having dinner with Larry Harbolt and Robin. Oh, yeah, I remember you. Yeah, so I was wondering, I'm always looking for new opportunity. But do you see how that warm contact is so much more powerful than, who is that guy? I don't even remember his last name. And you do find his phone number and you call him and you're like, we met at some point in the past. And he's going, why are you calling me, lady? Having those points of reference is huge. And I'll be honest, full disclosure, my mentor went on for an entire year about database, and I ignored him. I thought that works great for you because you sell real estate courses, and I'm not going to do that. So I thought. So I'm a guy I just want to buy apartment buildings and then go on my kayak, which is still the case. But I ignored it. Jay Massey was his name, and Jay's a big email marketer. I'm like, I don't want to be an email marketer. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that guy. And then lo and behold, I realized that I got a great deal. This deal just like dropped in my lap. I'm like, oh, awesome. I ran right down to the bank, and they went, no. What do you mean no? I got great credit. At the time, I had a job making great money. And they said, no. You just bought a fourplex. No more for you. You don't have any experience owning apartment buildings, so we're not going to loan you money. What do you mean? What about that I'm charming? Look how cute Jill is. Look, our nephew, he's 14. Look at it, cute kid. Look at him. No, none of that worked. Well, I didn't have anybody else to talk to at the time. So I had to take my no and go home. And I lost that deal. I could have wholesaled that deal or assigned it to somebody, right? But again, I had nobody to talk to. I knew Amanda Young, but I didn't think that Amanda was buying apartment buildings. Here's the worst part. I assumed that she wasn't going to buy apartment buildings, but she was better networked locally than I was back then, because I've known her for a couple of years now, and maybe I should have called her. But here's the problem. Amanda wasn't in my database. Do you know why Amanda wasn't in my database? I knew her. I knew her name was Amanda, but I didn't have her phone number. Why? Because I had no database. She was just somebody on Facebook that I happened to communicate with, and we met each other on Bigger Pockets years ago. But I followed her on Facebook as friend on Facebook because I admire her taking the action, because she's not afraid of getting out there and looking stupid and getting stuff done, and she was killing it. So fortunately, we were able to cultivate that relationship over time. However, it could have happened a hell of a lot faster had I had her number in a database. So there you have it. Lisa says, I use CamCard. Yeah, similar thing. I haven't tried CamCard. What does CamCard, Lisa, put the contacts into? Well, I'll mute you.
You can choose to have it just in CamCard, or it will auto-download into your phone contacts. It also allows you to make the notes. It allows you to create groups. The ones that I do put in, like I'll do, either Suncoast RIA or Tampa Bay RIA or, contractor, etc.
Nice. How much is that?
Free.
God love that.
You sign in online, so it's backed up online, and that way you don't lose it if something happens to your phone, because I have that happen.
Yeah. Must not be an Apple person, huh? Yeah, but Apple backs everything up. It doesn't matter if we lose our stuff. We just go plug it in and get a new one.
Yeah, well, that's why you just be proactive, and Android gives you a lot more free apps. Backup and CamCard.
With Apple, nothing's free.
Exactly.
I don't even think you're allowed to look at them, and they'll charge you. Oh, that'll be $1.50.
There's ways around it, though. I love Android.
There you go. So, guys, CamCard, there you go. You're always picking up cards. People are always stuffing cards in your face, which apparently is bad manners, by the way. I'd learned that. Lady on my podcast, she talked about networking. She's here local. She was a referral from Shawn, Yesner, my attorney. And I think Tiffany was her name. And she talked about the proper etiquette when wait for someone to ask for your card, which is cool because if you think about that, give them a compelling need to ask for your card. With me, I figure out a way to offer them some value. And when I offer them some value, they ask for my card. Hey, can I get your card? I never just throw it in somebody's face. But that's a great lead. So CamCard. I'm actually up to renew Full Contact, which is like, I don't know, it's like $80 a year. The only reason I use Full Contact is because it coordinates with Gmail, with Google. So it does add them into Google, and I can upload it into my big program, my marketing system. But I'm going to try to give CamCard a shot as well. It can't beat free. So let's see. Okay, Eric. I see your message. We're de-junking that property right now and cleaning out it's nasty. Oh yeah, Tiffany Kellogg, that was her name. Tiffany Kellogg she wrote a book on basically proper networking skills. And her and Shawn are serial networkers. And Shawn is the connector. Guys, it would be worth hiring Shawn and putting on him retainer just to help build your database. That guy connects so many people. It's crazy. Him and my CPA, both of them. So speaking of which, next Friday, we will not have a Cashflow Guys TV because I will be at FinCon, which is the financial conference in Dallas, Texas, for the week. I'm leaving Tuesday, and I won't be back until Sunday. So I won't have any Cashflow Guys TV next Friday because I'll be busy at FinCon. The following week, I'm going to try to get Charles Shapero on. I just sent him a webcam. So I'm going to have Charles Shapero on as a guest. He is my CPA. Charles is the man when it comes to if you are ever going to invest in real estate. Seriously. I don't care where you live in the world. You need to listen to Charles. He is a guy. He is the CPA that actively invests in real estate. When you talk about smartest person in the room, he's it. I am not it. He is it. That's why he's on my team. So, yeah, Lance said buckle up for Charles. Charles is full of personality. I'll put it that way. He's some would say rough around the edges. I'd say he's full of personality. I love him to death. The two of us at dinner, it's like sometimes the waitresses are like, just walk away shaking their head. Like, of course, our wives are just, we don't know those two idiots. But anyway. All right, guys. It's almost 12. Unless you have any last minute questions, I'll go ahead and wrap it up. Yes, Lance, definitely full of personality. That's for sure. But can't beat Charles Shapiro. He's the guy that helps you develop a tax plan. See, any idiot can do your taxes. Doesn't take. That's why things like Liberty Tax exist. No disrespect to them, but let's be realistic. They run an ad in the paper like 3 weeks before tax season. They jam some flunky into a chair a couple weeks beforehand. Pay them $6 an hour to do your taxes. Yeah. That's kind of like having a vet do your brain surgery. Still a doctor, maybe not the right one. Don't use the podiatrist to do open heart surgery. Probably not a good plan. So, there you have it. Yes, November 14th, TB RIA in South Tampa. So that would be at the Loft Hotel. For those of you that are in the Tampa Bay market, the Loft Hotel, I think, is where they're doing it. They were talking about changing venues, but that is Jeremy's meeting, Jeremy Cloder and Teddy Ebanks. That's a good meeting to go to. And it's him and Shawn Yesner. So if you're in the Tampa Bay market, it's Charles Shapiro, one of my attorneys and my CPA. They came up to my meeting that I used to host, did a great presentation. Get out to that one. It's free if you're a first-time member. I am no longer associated with TB RIA. We just didn't have the time for it. We're focused on other stuff, but definitely get out to see Charles speak. Very, very smart guy. Folks, happy Friday. Hope you have a great, profitable weekend. Get out there, make some cash flow. I will catch up with you guys in 2 weeks. Talk to you later.